So the turbo LMF motor is almost prepped and ready to go back in the car, or the Trailblazer, but before we do, we want to change valve springs. While we can change valve springs on the engine and just shoot air into each cylinder to hold up the valves, with the heads already off the car, it's really easy to do just on the bench. So let's go over to the bench and make that happen. All right, so here we are on the bench. We got both our cylinder heads, and we're just gonna change some valve springs really quick and easy. The pack springs are really nice. They're just beehive valve springs. They're real simple. They are pretty much the exact stock replacement, so we don't have to change the valve stem seals or the upper keepers or anything else. They just go right in. One thing I like to do is I like to grab a rag, fold it up, and put it underneath the cylinder that I'm working on just to help hold the valves all the way up. We will use a rocker arm pedestal. I have this awesome little tool. This tool is nothing special. I think I got it from Amazon. And we'll put that over here first, and we will use 2 rocker arm bolts. One on the opposite end of the pedestal, just to help keep the pedestal in place. And one here. We'll run it down to 0 lash. It doesn't have to be super tight or anything like that. And then we'll take our ratchet and we'll just push it down like that. I need a magnet, hold on. Magnet, pull the rocker arm down. Pick up the keepers with the magnet. Let the valve spring up. Set that down. Really simple and straightforward. Here's the difference between our valve springs. Pack 1219 is a touch larger, but you know, it crushes down. Pack 19 spring 1219 also looks a little bit thinner, like it's going to allow for a little bit more travel. Here's one. And there. And that is one down. $15 to go. You know, if you leave the rocker arm bolt up a little bit, it lets you grab this on more of a straight up and down angle, but it gives you less thread depth in the hole. And once you peel the threads out of that head, out of that hole for the rocker arm, you got nothing but problems. So, you know, that is what that is. Wow. There we go. 2. transition to the next, because we're moving off the first combustion chamber to the second, we need to pick the head up, take the rag, transition it to the second combustion chamber. Again, the rag helps keep the valves up, keeps them from dropping down this tiny little bit, and it helps make this easier. Something else is this job on strong valve springs would be impossible. When I'm doing stronger valve springs, like the double wound springs, or for like super high lift cams and stuff where they have very strong valve springs, I'll do this with the head on top of the head gasket on my welding bench that has holes in it, and I'll put a couple of bolts through the head bolt through the welding bench and put nuts on the bottom so the head can stay stable while I'm forcing this up and down. But again, this is a low lift cam, and so we're only using very soft springs, which is going to be very friendly to gas mileage. It's going to be very friendly to a long lifespan. I love things that are not abusive to the motor. As I'm getting ready to apply 15 pounds of boost to this poor 5.3. Something else about doing these, when you're doing them, it's very important to try not to keep your face like over the spring, and to understand if a keeper isn't seated, or if anything goes wrong, if your tool slips, the spring is going to try to jump straight up. So you never want to, like, you know, it's like looking down into the barrel of a gun, right? You just don't ever do it. And so you should always try to make sure your head and your body and your limbs are off to the side. So if anything goes sideways, it just, well, you're clear of the danger area. Because sometimes these springs, they can be under a lot of load. And when they come apart, they can come apart energetically. And that's 4 down, 12 to go. And we're already moving past our second combustion chamber onto the third. This goes pretty quick. Somewhere along the way, it's nice to switch the side that the secondary rocker arm bolt is on. So they're always, you know, supporting the pedestal on 2 sides instead of on the same side. 6 down, 10 to go. Moving on to the last combustion chamber on this bank, or on this head. This bank, same thing. This is intake valve on cylinder 8. These heads, while we can say they're ambidextrous, they're actually not. They've put plugs in the rear steam vents. So yeah, they're specific. I guess we could say we pull the plugs out if we wanted to. They could easily become for the other side, but they're currently configured for specific sides because of that. Okay. Okay, and just like that, this whole head is done already. And now we'll start all over on this one. Put this under here. We'll put our pedestal on. We'll get one bolt started on that side. We'll set this one up on the first one. And here we go. Transfer our rag to the last combustion chamber. And we are moving on to the last spring. This would be intake valve cylinder number 1. Perfect. And that completes 16 springs. And here are our 2 heads, all set up and ready to go. All of our old beehive valve springs are in the box that the pack of springs came in. Not old, they're brand new. Our valve springs are on. Our block has been prepped with the cam, the lifters are all back in, and we should be ready to put the heads back on the motor. But I have a little dilemma before we do that. The stock head gasket thickness is supposed to be 51 thousandths, and for the 5-layer gaskets. The stock 7-layer gaskets that would be LS9, but we got small bore ones from Brian Truly Racing, but they're the same thickness. They're 55 thousandths thickness. And when I take this motor apart, I notice that the head gaskets are very thick. I noticed that there are only 3 layers and that the middle layer is abnormally thick. I take a digital slide caliper and I mic it out, and we come up to 0.74 thickness. See that? I don't know if you can see that, but it's a 0.735. And the gasket, here's the 3rd layer. It's like steel. It's a very strong material, but it's very thick. I know why this is. This block is rebuilt, and it was rebuilt properly. So the heads have been shaved, but also the block has been decked. And the remanufacturer, rebuilder, took into account the amount of meat that was taken off the heads in the block. And I'm pretty certain that that is the extra distance of thickness in this gasket. So I don't know what to do, right? I have the 7-layer BTR head gaskets, but they crush down to 0.5055 and not 0.0735. The big fear is that this is going to skew my my push rod size, right? But I guess if I needed to, I could get smaller push rods. So I don't know if I should put this together with the BTR 7-layer head gaskets and then go and hunt down a slightly shorter set of push rods to bring me to my right lifter preload, or if I should say that that's going to bring my cylinders and pistons closer together, or if I should say because I'm only 550 lift, that's not even a concern I should have. That's something for me to sleep on. But right now, we're all ready to go back together. ARP 2000 head bolts, 7-layer gaskets, and we're ready to start being radical. But we have this little discrepancy in head gasket thickness that we need to resolve. And the nice thing about LMF is LMF was a little bit less compression than LY5 to begin with. LY5 was 9.9 to 1 compression, where LMF was only 9.6 to 1 compression. So I don't know if running the Bryant BTR 7-layer gaskets would be better, or if I should just run these and say the higher torque and greater clamping force of the ARP hardware will be all I need. I gotta think about that. I'll let you guys know what I come up with. But I welcome any comments on this subject that you guys might be willing to post or share. I'll certainly look at it and take it into consideration. But for now, we're done with this for today, and we're done with this video. We'll come back at it after I've had some time to think about this.